In 1899, Dutch Vanderlyn leads his found family away from the law and into the snowy mountains of Coulter. They run into a rival gang, the O'Driscolls, as they pillage a homestead. The gang kills the members and saves the newly widowed Sadie Adler. After Arthur and Javier save John from a pack of wolves, they bring him back much to the thanks of Abigail and Jack, John's found family inside the gang. Dutch then has the gang form together and attack a nearby O'Driscoll hideout, saying that they have intel on a new job. But in reality, he just has a vendetta against their leader, Colm O'Driscoll. The gang takes out the hideout, with Colm escaping. They also capture an O'Driscoll named Kieran and allow him to join the group. They use the intel to rob a train, which is owned by Leviticus Cornwall, who sends the Pinkerton agents Andrew Milton and Edgar Ross after the gang. The gang decides to relocate to the Heartlands, where they each go on a subset of jobs to earn enough money to finally retire from the outlaw life. Arthur takes up loan collections for the gang, where he nearly beats a man with tuberculosis to death. Arthur is also able to rekindle an old flame with Mary Linton. After rescuing Sean, who is captured in Blackwater, Arthur is approached by the Pinkertons while fishing with Jack, where they give him the chance to just surrender Dutch and let everybody else go, but he refuses. They leave him alone, but end up finding the gang later on in Valentine, forcing them to flee further south. The gang holds up near Rhodes, where they take advantage of the town's two wealthy families, the Braithwaite and the Greys. They play both sides, but the families end up realizing the truth and work together. The Greys ambush and kill off Sean, while the Braithwaites kidnap little Jack. The gang goes after Jack, slaughtering the Braithwaites and burning their manor to the ground. They learn along the way that Jack was sold to notorious mob boss Angelo Bronte. The gang approaches Bronte, and after helping him out with some grave robbers, he gives Jack back and invites the gang to one of his parties, where they learn of many other scores to go after. In the meantime, Arthur ends up going on a few crusades of his own, helping Rains Fall, the chief of the Wapiti tribe, and his son, Eagle Flies, in a mission that stops the army from stealing their land. We also learn that Arthur once had a son and a fiancée, but they were both killed during a robbery. When Arthur gets back to the camp, the Driscolls raid the hideout, but the gang is able to beat them. Arthur and Hosea want the gang to leave, but Dutch wants to do one last job for Bronte, which ends up being yet another setup. The gang decides to lie low, and Arthur goes off to help Mary with her family. She asks him to leave on the train with her, but he lets her go, refusing to leave his found family. Back at the camp, Dutch has the gang attack and kill Angelo Bronte for betraying them, which shows John and Arthur just how much Dutch has changed ever since they invited Micah Bell to join the group. They end up going on a bank heist afterwards, but the law somehow knows about it, killing both Hosea and Lenny. The group is able to escape on a boat, but John is captured. The gang gets stranded on an island for a while, but eventually they make it back to Lemoyne, and Arthur finds a note from the remaining members that didn't go on the heist, who have now moved to Lakay. Once he arrives, the Pinkertons immediately attack. They're able to fend them off, but the gang realizes that there's a mole. Arthur and Charles are able to find the gang a new place to hide out. Arthur goes to meet Sadie, but he passes out. He wakes up in the doctor's office, where he learns that he has TB. Arthur begins to rethink his life, going out of his way to make amends with the families that owed the gang money, including the family of the man that had TB in the beginning. Despite Dutch saying that they can't rescue John yet, Arthur and Sadie go behind his back, narrowly escaping the Pinkertons and bringing John home. Arthur is able to join Dutch and Micah on another mission, where they find Cornwall, and Dutch kills the man in broad daylight. Afterwards, Sadie, Arthur, and Dutch go watch Colm O'Driscoll get hanged. Sadie kills the two O'Driscolls that plan on rescuing him, avenging her husband. Later on, they're able to use Cornwall's document to find a dynamite shipment, which they use to set up an ambush at the bridge and cut off government supplies. Arthur then warns John to try to get his family out of the gang, both showing that they no longer trust Dutch. Dutch then feigns an alliance with the local tribe to get them to attack Cornwall's oil refinery, where the gang is able to get another lead on some money before Dutch leaves Arthur behind. Arthur is saved by Eagle Flies, who ends up getting shot and killed. Arthur and Charles bring Eagle Flies back to the tribe, and Charles stays behind with them. Arthur gets back to the hideout. Dutch has the gang do one last train robbery, where John is seemingly shot and killed. They come back from the mission, but learn that Abigail has been captured by the law. Dutch and the gang decide to leave her behind, but Arthur and Sadie give Tilly and Jack all their money and ride off, where they save Abigail and kill Milton once and for all. They also learn that Micah had been the mole the whole time. Shocker. Knowing his time is short, Arthur sends Sadie and Abigail away to reunite with Tilly and Jack, deciding to go settle things with Dutch and Micah. But Dutch and the rest of the gang refuse to believe him, causing a shootout, during which John arrives, revealing that Dutch had left him behind on the train. Susan is killed by Micah before the Pinkertons arrive, causing the gang to split. In order to keep John alive, Arthur stays behind to hold the Pinkertons off. And as Arthur fights the law, Micah shows up and the two get into a fist fight, ending with Dutch leaving both of them behind after he realizes how far he's fallen. Finally alone, Arthur is able to crawl to the cliffside, able to finally pass away while watching the sun rise. About 8 years later, John and Abigail finally settle down and build a house together before Sadie Adler tells John she knows where Micah is. John and Sadie go recruit Charles, and the trio corners Micah and Dutch, where Dutch ends up killing Micah after being reminded of Arthur, and he walks away. The trio heads back home, where Charles and Sadie go off on their own lives, and John lives in his house with Uncle, Abigail, and teenage John. But the Pinkertons are able to track down John finally, since Micah had been working working with them still. Yo, if you liked the video, or honestly even if you didn't, it'd be cool if you liked it. Also, if you want more videos like this in the future, you can subscribe down below. Alright, well I should go.